Welcome to College Briefing. The content of the briefing includes Trump's second-term plans, anti-woke university, freedom cities. Washington beats Oregon in stirring Pac-12 finale, sharpening playoff picture. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor paved a path for women on the Supreme Court. Unusual names can complicate life in Japan. Now parents are being reined in. Montoya and Doms each score in the opening 4 minutes to help Stanford beat BYU in College Cup. Trump's second-term plans, anti-woke university, freedom cities. Wall Street Journal. Donald Trump's campaign for re-election has seen him abandon the principles of limited government and local control which have traditionally defined the Republican Party. He is planning to use executive authority to dictate school curricula, prevent doctors from providing medical interventions for young transgender people, and pressure police departments to adopt more severe anti-crime policies. Trump has also stated that he would establish a government-backed anti-woke university, create a national credentialing body to certify teachers who embrace patriotic values, and erect freedom cities on federal land. He has pledged to use the power of government to investigate and punish his critics. Trump's stated policy platform is barely recognizable to previous generations of Republican politicians. In contrast to their support for limited federal intervention, Trump's proposals could require an influx of new federal intervention. The party is split between those who argue that government intervention is necessary to correct liberal overreach and those who feel Trump is going too far. Even some of Trump's allies have expressed doubts about his proposals. Critics argue that Trump's ideas are antithetical to conservative thought and conservative history, and that Trump is not a conservative but an iconoclastic populist. While the feasibility of Trump's plans is doubtful, the fact that his ideas are being taken seriously is indicative of a broader shift to a more active federal government among some Republicans. A number of GOP presidential candidates argue that an aggressive use of federal authority is needed to combat the liberal social agenda that they believe has taken hold in schools, academia, the media, and corporate boardrooms. Trump's governing philosophy is difficult to discern as he has no prior political experience and is unconcerned with following party rules. Washington beats Oregon in stirring Pac-12 finale, sharpening playoff picture. Washington Post. The number 3 Washington Huskies beat the number 5 Oregon Ducks 34-31 in the Pac-12 championship on Friday, earning a spot in the college football playoff. Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. drove his team 75 yards in 10 plays and then 82 yards in 12 plays, while also converting a 3rd and 1 to put the game out of reach. The Ducks had a chance to tie the game after scoring a touchdown with 25 seconds left, but an onside kick sailed out of bounds and the Huskies kneeled on the ball to secure the victory. The Huskies will face the number 2 ranked team in the country and defending national champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide, in the college football playoff semifinals. The other semifinal game will feature the number 1 ranked team in the country, the Georgia Bulldogs, against the number 4 ranked team in the country, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The winners of those 2 games will play for the national championship on January 10 in Indianapolis. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor paved a path for women on the Supreme Court. Associated Press. Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court, has died at the age of 93. O'Connor was appointed by President Ronald Reagan in 1981 and served until her retirement in 2006. Her appointment was seen as a breakthrough for women in the legal profession. In a statement, the Supreme Court said O'Connor died of complications from dementia and a respiratory illness. During her time on the court, O'Connor was known as a swing vote on a number of key issues, including abortion, affirmative action, and campaign finance. In recent years, her health had declined and she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 2018. In a statement released by the Supreme Court, current Chief Justice John Roberts said, "As an advocate, she blazed a new trail for women. As a judge, she set the highest standards for the legal profession." O'Connor was born on March 26, 1930, in El Paso, Texas. She married John O'Connor, whom she met while attending Stanford Law School, in 1952. They had 3 sons. Unusual names can complicate life in Japan. Now parents are being reined in. New York Times. Japanese parents are increasingly giving their children unconventional names, often in an effort to make them stand out in a country that values conformity. The government is now moving to restrict such names, claiming that they can cause practical difficulties as well as societal challenges. Changes to the law governing family registry certificates will bar parents from giving their children extremely unconventional names and will, for the first time, require notations on children's names to ensure they can be read correctly. This is because most traditional Japanese names have characters, known as kanji, that have meanings representing what parents hope their child will become. Since most kanji have multiple possible pronunciations, parents sometimes derive an unusual pronunciation from the sequence of characters to create a name with an intended reading that is hidden from view. The use of such names has increased over the past 4 decades, although some people with unconventional names, such as Urara Takasaki, embrace their unusual monikers as a way to stand out. Montoya and Doms each score in the opening 4 minutes to help Stanford beat BYU in College Cup. Associated Press. Stanford defeated BYU 2-0 in the NCAA Women's Soccer College Cup semifinals to advance to the championship game. Ali Montoya and Maya Doms both scored within the opening 4 minutes of the match. Stanford goalkeeper Ryan Campbell kept BYU scoreless, and the Cardinal extended their unbeaten streak to 36 matches. Stanford will face Florida State in the championship game on Monday. Pember, AB propel UNC Asheville to 97-51 victory over Johnson. Associated Press. UNC Asheville dominated Johnson University with a 97-51 victory. Drew Pember and Fletcher AB led the Bulldogs with 15 points each, while Pember also contributed 8 rebounds and 5 assists. AB had a strong performance from beyond the arc, shooting 5 of 8 from 3-point range. Josh Banks and Davion Cunningham added 11 points each for UNC Asheville. Malik Oates was the leading scorer for Johnson University with 10 points. Kevin Durant becomes number 10 scorer in NBA history, passing Moses Malone. Associated Press. Phoenix Suns forward Kevin Durant has moved into the top 10 in scoring in NBA history. Durant surpassed Moses Malone for the number 10 spot with a layup in the second quarter of a game against the Denver Nuggets, giving him a total of 27,411 career points. The 35-year-old Durant is a 13-time All-Star and has played for multiple teams throughout his career, including the Supersonics Thunder, Warriors, Nets, and Suns. He has been in the NBA for 17 seasons and has averaged over 27 points per game. The current career scoring leader is LeBron James with 39,124 career points. Boulder Valley School District gave violence prevention presentation at Centaurus High School. Yahoo! The Boulder Valley School District partnered with the Center for the Study and Prevention of Violence to give a presentation about reporting in school shooting situations. The presentation took place Wednesday at Centaurus High School in Lafayette, where parents were invited to take part in de-escalation discussions. The University of Colorado Boulder paired with CSPV and BVSD to educate parents on safety tools they can use and were advised in workshops about gun violence in schools. U.S.-China joint study challenges corn origins theory. South China Morning Post. Scientists have discovered that the origins of modern corn may be more complex than previously thought. It was previously believed that corn was domesticated from a single wild relative in Mexico. However, genetic contributions from a second wild plant around 5,000 years ago may have been important to the adoption of corn as a staple grain in Mesoamerica. The researchers found evidence of a second wild plant that had diverged from the lowland teosinte, the original wild relative, up to 60,000 years ago. The second wild plant helped corn to adapt to highland regions in Mexico. Canada kicks off final leg of Sinclair's farewell tour with Rout of Australia. CBC. Nichelle Prince scored twice as Canada thumped an experimental Australia lineup 5-0 Friday in Christine Sinclair's penultimate international game. The 10th-ranked Canadians had their way with the 11th-ranked Matildas on a wet night. Chloe Lacasse, Simi Awujo and Adriana Leon also scored for Canada, which led 2-0 at the half in Langford, BC. George propels Queen's University over Carolina Christian College 134-69. Associated Press. Queen's University defeated Carolina Christian College with a final score of 134-69. Freshman Kobe George led the team with 24 points, shooting 9 of 13 from the field and 6 of 8 from beyond the arc. Chris Ashby contributed 18 points, while A.J. McKee had 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Several other reserves also scored in double figures for Queens. Chris Chamberlain led Carolina Christian College with 17 points. Kaidon Salter leads unbeaten number 20 Liberty past New Mexico State 49-35 for CUSA title. Associated Press. Number 20 Liberty defeated New Mexico State 49-35 in the Conference USA Championship game on Friday night. Quarterback Kaidon Salter threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for another, leading the Flames to victory. Liberty remains undefeated with a 13-0 record and hopes to secure a New Year's Six bowl bid. Deep into the College Cup, Florida State soccer has still not allowed a goal. Yahoo! The Florida State Seminoles soccer team has reached the championship game of the College Cup by keeping a clean sheet throughout the tournament. The team has outscored opponents 16-0 in the run-up to the final. The last time a team achieved this feat was Penn State in 2015. Letters, the absurd spectacle of yet another carbon-guzzling climate summit. Telegraph. In a letter to the Telegraph, a reader argues that the UK's efforts to reduce carbon emissions are futile because the country only produces less than 1% of the world's harmful emissions. The reader suggests that rather than focusing on reducing emissions, the government should focus on balancing economic practicalities with scientific evidence. Another reader criticizes the large carbon footprint created by the 400,000 individuals attending COP28 in Dubai, arguing that the climate summit will result in more draconian impositions on people's lives. The reader suggests that the event is hypocritical given the high levels of carbon emissions produced by attendees traveling to the summit. Community calendar of events. Yahoo! The North Bend Public Library in Oregon is hosting several holiday-themed events in December. On December 2nd, the library is offering Story Time with Mrs. Claus, where families can sing Christmas songs and listen to Mrs. Claus read a holiday story. Children can also make a holiday craft and write a letter to Santa. The event is free to attend and there are 2 sessions available. On December 15th, the library will host a Reader's Theatre presentation of A Christmas Carol, based on the novel by Charles Dickens. Local actors will perform a scripted reading of the classic tale of redemption. The library will also provide seasonal drinks and snacks. The event is open to all ages and is free to attend. Finally, on December 16th, the library is offering a bat box building program in collaboration with the South Slough Reserve. Participants can help create valuable bat habitat by building bat boxes. The program is open to all ages and supplies will be provided. Pre-registration is required and each household will receive 1 bat box. Bats are important pollinators and help control insect populations. The event is part of the library's ongoing efforts to provide educational programs that highlight local wildlife and conservation efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six from the Six-Dimensional World, bringing you the latest news and updates from around the globe. Today, we discuss Donald Trump's second-term plans, the Washington Huskies' victory in the Pac-12 championship, the passing of Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, the Japanese government's move to restrict unconventional names, and various sports results. Now, let's dive into these stories and provide some analysis. First off, we talked about Donald Trump's plans for his potential second term as president. It seems that Trump is abandoning traditional Republican principles and embracing a more active federal government. His proposals, such as dictating school curricula and pressuring police departments, are quite controversial within the Republican Party. Some argue that Trump is going too far and that his ideas are not in line with conservative values. However, there is a growing shift among some Republicans towards a more interventionist government, as they believe it is necessary to combat liberal social agendas. Whether Trump's plans are feasible or not is up for debate, but it's clear that his ideas are reshaping the Republican Party. Moving on, we discussed the thrilling Pac-12 championship game between the Washington Huskies and the Oregon Ducks. The Huskies came out on top, securing a spot in the college football playoff. It will be interesting to see how they fare against the defending national champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide. The other semifinal game will feature the Georgia Bulldogs against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The winners of these matchups will battle it out for the national championship. So, football fans, mark your calendars for January 10th. In other news, we paid tribute to Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. O'Connor's appointment was a breakthrough for women in the legal profession, and she made significant contributions during her time on the court. Her passing is a loss for the legal community, but her legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. Shifting gears, we discussed Japan's move to restrict unconventional names. In a country that values conformity, some parents have been giving their children unique names to make them stand out. However, the government believes that these names can cause practical difficulties and societal challenges. Changes to the law will require notations on children's names to ensure they can be read correctly. This is an interesting development, as traditional Japanese names are based on characters that represent parents' hopes for their children's future. It will be fascinating to see how this new regulation affects naming practices in Japan. Lastly, we covered various sports results, including Stanford's victory in the NCAA Women's Soccer College Cup semifinals, UNC Asheville's dominant win over Johnson University, Kevin Durant's ascent into the top 10 scorers in NBA history, and Canada's triumph over Australia in women's international soccer. It's always exciting to see these incredible athletes showcase their skills and achieve new milestones. That's all the news for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed our program. Now, it's time for you to join the discussion. What are your thoughts on Trump's second-term plans? Do you agree with Japan's decision to restrict unconventional names? And how about those sports results? Let us know what you think. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.